Hi, my name's John Eales. Some of you may know me from my Facebook posts showing the Siege of Gloucester. My big interest is 1643 between August and the 5th of September when we celebrate Gloucester Day. St Mary the Crypt has kindly asked me to come in. As you can see, they've produced a superb map that you can come in and see, huge map. Showing our defences around the city of Gloucester during that particular time in 1643. So what I'm looking to do over the next few weeks is give you a day-by-day account as best I can of what was going on around our city. First of all, I aim to keep these down quite short. I don't want to bore you to death at night when you're just about to have your tea. So I'm going to give you the bullet points, what was going on. But what's important, this is the big one, is to understand why Gloucester stood on our own in a sea of royalist forces around us. So, I'll take you back to 1643. West Country, where we are now. We were commanded by, or protected by, an army under Sir William Waller, a parliamentarian army who patrolled up and down the West Country, and basically, apart from scouts and raids, he kept the royalist forces away. Gloucester had chosen to be parliamentarian. The reasons for that are many. The main ones were the king had brought in a shipping tax, so coming up the River Severn, as you can see here, any ships that docked, the king was taking money from that. The reason he was taking coffers from that was to put into his chest to go to war to defeat Parliament, simple as that. There was also a tobacco tax. Gloucester, believe it or not, was a big area for growing tobacco, particularly in Gloucestershire, particularly around the Winchcombe area where the soil was perfect. We were growing a lot of tobacco, a lot of hallucinogenic properties evidently out of this tobacco from what we can gather. I don't know, obviously, police officers, but from what I can gather. So the king started importing tobacco in from, believe it or not, from South America and undercutting the Gloucester tobacco growers. And then the big one, and this is where we get the religious side. I'm not religious at all. The religious side is the king then sold the whole of the Forest of Dean to Sir John Wintner, who was a Catholic. Bear in mind, Charles I was married to a Catholic. England at this point was very Protestant, so that basically annoyed Gloucester as well. And we could be annoyed quite easily, as I'm sure you Gloucester people will be aware. So that's three main reasons that I picked out. There's many, many more. So Gloucester decided to be parliamentarian. So Waller's controlling, Sir William Waller's controlling the West Country. He's parliamentarian. Gloucester's parliamentarian. We're fairly safe. Then you had the Battle of Hynham, which took place at Hynham. Many of you know Hynham Church. So you got the Royalist Welsh coming in. Gloucester troops went out and defeated the Royalist Welsh at Hynham. There was also a battle up at Ripple Field, just north of Tewkesbury, south of Worcester, just north of Tewkesbury. Gloucester troops got beaten. But the key moments why Gloucester became an island in a sea of royalist areas were Bristol to the south of us was parliamentarian, the same of us. Before Bristol was laid siege to, Waller actually had a battle at Lansdowne Hill, just north of Bath, and that was a bit of a stalemate. Royalist parliamentarian forces fought at there, bit of a stalemate. Then, significantly, after that, the Royalist forces withdrew to Devizes, and after that, there was a significant battle at Roundway Down, Battle of Roundway Down. They still visit the battlefield to this day. It's probably not changed anything since the actual battle itself. Waller and his army were absolutely smashed, defeated, and Waller fled. They actually came to Gloucester. Some of his men, the ones who'd survived, stayed a short while, not far from, well, where I am now, where you're watching this now. The West Country was now wide open. So, Royalist forces now came down from under Prince Rupert. He was King Charles I's nephew, Rupert of the Rhine, a German officer, a very good officer actually. He brought his forces down into the West Country, camped on Minchinhampton Common, and they had a choice. We want to take the West Country. There's two cities that are standing between us. We got Bristol, which is a huge city with 100 cannon, nearly 2,000 men capable of fighting, or we've got little old Gloucester with a rundown walls, 1,800 men at top, 1,500 men at tops, capable of taking arms, and rundown walls. And Rupert said, let's go for Bristol, because Bristol's going to be the tough nut to crack. Gloucester's going to roll over. Sorry. Gloucester's going to be the easy one to roll over. So the Royalist forces then dropped down, went into Bristol, and they took Bristol within 3 to 4 days. 26th of July, the guns fell silent over Bristol. So now, Gloucester, where I'm stood now, looking at my little map here of Gloucester, we've got Royalist Forest of Dean, pointing in this direction because that's where it is. We've got Royalist Wales. We've got Royalist Bristol in this direction. Behind me now I've got Royalist capital Oxford. Up here I've got Royalist Worcester. Then I've got Tewkesbury, Royalist. I've got Cirencester, Royalist. Everywhere around us is full of Royalist soldiers. Their whole aim now is to take Gloucester. The king in 1643 could have won the Civil War. All he had to do was take the West Country. He could have then, other than a few garrisons left here and there, Bristol, Gloucester, small amount of troops just to keep the peace, he could have then put all of his army and gone that way and taken London. The only time, when we look at history, the king could have won the English Civil War was in 1643. And Gloucester men and Gloucester women were the key to stopping what was going to happen. So, what then happened is they took Bristol and they started moving up towards Gloucester.